The government of Ontario recently stated that as of October 1st, 2023, the minimum wage will increase from $15.50 to $16.55. However, according to the Ontario Living Wage Network, a living wage in many parts of the province is $19 and over $23 in the GTA. So honestly, my question lies, should minimum wage be increased to meet the minimum livable wage? What do you guys think?
Are you talking about on like a municipality basis? Because it would very much differ municipality to municipality.
Wait, but hold on. How would it differ? Because whether it be 19 or 23, we're arguing the livable wage. Should it meet that?
The cost of living, though, in Toronto is very different than the cost of living in Welland.
Say we should meet a $19 an hour minimum wage. What do you think?
I think that it wouldn't actually help people achieve anything because we're looking at minimum wage in a vacuum. We're not talking about cost of goods increasing in price because now minimum wage is going up. So companies are passing on those added costs to the end consumer. So we're looking at it in a vacuum, and that's not how the actual economy works. Yeah,
it's not reality. Let's hear what the people have to say about this. We're gonna show you guys the streeters here in just a moment. What do you think about minimum wage? Is it too high, too low, right? Good where it's at?
It's like okay for like the Canadian economy right now.
I think it's at a good spot, but if you raise it, more issues.
Due to the inflation also, like grocery prices and everything is going way up, and our minimum wage is not increasing as compared to that.
I feel like with like inflation and like prices going up by COVID that it could be a little higher.
Right. There's a lot of argument around whether or not it should be a livable wage.
Right.
Or is it just a minimum wage?
It should be livable. Right now it's not. You can't live here. You can't even afford a house right now with that even close.
I live alone, so it's not that much difficult for me to live on minimum wage. But there are people who have families, who have kids. For them, it's gonna be really hard.
Honestly, I feel like the bare minimum, like, because if you want to work hard, then you go work hard.
If you can work a decent number of hours, actually afford basic living expenses, housing, food, clothes, and save a little bit.
In 2015, organizations and individuals were fighting for a $15 minimum wage, arguing employers weren't being fair. And in January of 2022, 7 years later, we achieved that. And immediately, our discussions then shifted to a $20 minimum wage. Carolina, what do you think? Did we not meet the $15 an hour minimum wage fast enough?
I think, yeah, pretty much. I think at any point it should be a livable wage, so people can actually afford to live and go to work, not only, just wake up and breathe in that case. But I definitely think we're not responding fast enough to the requests that these people are having and not supporting them through difficult times like inflation right now.
Right, I mean, inflation is rapidly rising. Shouldn't we be meeting that with a minimum wage, at least to help people get by?
You'd hope so, right? Like we talk about things from an idealistic world perspective, right? And that's kind of what we're looking at it as. Yeah, in an idealistic world, should it be a livable wage? Absolutely, right? But there's also all of the side effects like you were talking about, right? When we look at things in a vacuum, yeah, in an ideal world, absolutely it should. But all of those costs that are going to be incurred for the employer by having employees needing to make more money and forcing them to pay that, all of those costs are going to get passed on to the consumer, and those employees, when they go home, become a consumer anyway. So does it really end up helping them? That's really up for debate.
I think we're not looking at the root issue, though. So if you're saying that we're increasing the livable wage for people and then all of these companies are able to compensate for their costs, let's take, for example, some of the big companies that are currently selling groceries. They're still paying pretty much the same what they had to pay 2 or 3 years ago for the supply, but they're increasing the cost, gouging those prices. So they don't really need that, but they're still doing it.
She does make a good point. I actually have a stat to back that up. In fact, grocery bills right now are around $15,000 a year, okay? And they're expected to rise another 5 to 7% in the next year. Chris, what do you think about that? I mean, it seems like the consumer's just paying the cost of this.
That's what's going to happen. If we continue to increase minimum wages, all you're going to see at grocery stores is you're not going to see lower prices. You're just going to see more self-checkouts. If there's the larger companies that have the resources to use tech to get rid of human beings, as we continue to increase minimum wage, we're incentivizing these companies to find better and better ways to reduce labor costs. And they will do it, as we've seen with McDonald's. Now you order at a touch screen, grocery stores, self-checkout, Walmart, right? So we're seeing this. So I don't think minimum wage is the answer to affordability crisis.